O'clock, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, November 10th. We're going to start this morning by invocation by Miss Sandra Gilliard and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Goddard. Please rise if you can.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we pause this morning, God, to say thank you. Before we ask you for anything, we want to thank you for what you've already done. God, we thank you for the fact that we live in a country where we are able to elect those, God, that will lead us. And God, all we ask is that we respect those that have the leadership. And God, we pray for those that are leading our county, God. Help them, oh God, to make the decisions that are right for the people. Realizing, God, that everything or every decision that is made may not please everyone. But help those of us, God, that may not have felt it has gone our way to accept the fact, God, that you are sovereign. And so, God, if we lift you up, you will draw men unto you. And the men, God, and women will follow your lead. God, we pray that the United States will remain united and that this county will rise up and continue to be the beacon, God, that we look to for leadership. Now, God, bless each one of our commissioners. Bless those, oh God, that serve in the various capacities. God, we thank you and we bless your name. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Miss Sandra. It's always a pleasure to hear you pray. Mr. Goddard, also thank you for leading us in the pledge this morning. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda.
I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes as listed on the agenda. Is there any additional corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, we're going to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting and call the Port Authority to,
A couple minutes.
got through it too quick. We've got a 9:05 certain time on the Port Authority meeting, so we're going to have to wait a couple of minutes. I was expecting that. I'm going to pull it and then ask him to speak. Okay, it's 9:05 now, so I'm going to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting at this time and convene the Port Authority meeting. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for October 13th.
Mr. Chairman, I make approval of the minutes as stated on the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as stated on the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there any public comment this morning on Port Authority items? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on Port Authority and open. Is there any general discussion to come before the port this morning?
I have something.
Commissioner Rawls?
Mr. Troxel, I remember the question now. It was about the boundary survey. I did get a copy of the boundary survey, and if I'm reading it correctly, it looks like where the if you drive back to that access road where I guess it was construction road, where that fence starts, is that also the property beyond that where the cows are grazing? Is that our property? Okay, what part of that is going to be carved out for the animal services? What was proposed? Because that's a large piece of land.
Yes.
So what is your question again?
There's the survey shows 2 tracts of land. Beyond the fence is the largest piece. Everything before that's pretty well chewed up. There's a small piece to the right where there's a communications tower, but I don't think you could fit the building on there and parking. So if you go beyond that fence, where the power line easement is, that's a large piece of land. I didn't know how much of that will be dedicated or what portion of that. Is it going to be right in the middle, to one side or the other? That might be something we need to discuss at a workshop.
Mr. Chairman, I can answer that if you'd like.
Please.
We were talking about that very item yesterday. I believe the plan is going back in front of the Animal Services Committee. I think we'll have some conversation within that group at that time. Now, I think with the location being adjacent to the sheriff's office, probably some conversation with the sheriff's office as well before we decide on a particular location. Once we get that particular location, then we'll do the other things that are required, such as the soil borings and things of that nature. But we'll bring that back to the board after Animal Services has their next meeting.
All right, well, as soon as you can get me some sort of a boundary for what we're looking at, we can create a site plan and start looking to develop the rest of the site. Because that, when I first got it, I looked at it and went, wow, that looks like a big piece of property. And I drove out there and said, yeah, that is huge. So I know we're not going to give all that for animal services. There'd be no reason to. But I didn't know if there was a particular piece of that property we're looking to lay it.
Yes, sir. We'll talk with the Animal Services Committee as well as Sheriff's Office and get back to the
I
board.
think that we had discussed in workshop that we were gonna try to hold that project to under 5 acres of that property, if I remember correctly from memory. So once
That
they
is
do
correct.
the survey.
If we keep it relatively square and that property is rectangular, is there maybe, and will it be adjacent to that fence? I think that would make sense to me, for access, maybe come in and take the property to the right. So, or right straight ahead, whatever, but if I could get something, it doesn't have to have, the coordinates, but if I can just get the lengths and the widths, then we can go ahead and start laying out a site plan.
Okay, yeah, we can do that as well, so.
All right.
Hey, when you get that figured out, would you just go get directly with Commissioner Rawls on that, where he can start developing that before coming back to us?
Yes, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Or anything else, sir? Commissioner Rawls?
Sorry, no,
Okay,
I'm there.
thank you. All right. Is there any further general discussion on the Port Authority? Hearing none, I'll adjourn the Port Authority this morning and reconvene the Board of County Commissioners. And we're gonna start with the first presentation that will be Haven Hospice Palliative Care Month. And we're going to ask Commissioner Pickens if he will read that.
You gonna have them come up front or not?
You want to read it from there, and I'll go up front? And I'll ask the Haven Hospice to come forward and meet me at the podium, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November 2020. Whereas for 41 years, Haven has helped provide comfort and dignity to thousands of people in North Florida, allowing them to live their last months, weeks, or days comfortably with the people they love. Whereas Haven utilizes interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, comprehensive plan management as a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing a physical treatment, Haven attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services like respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas Haven provides community-based palliative care, which delivers expertise to improve quality of life and relief from pain and can be provided at any time during an illness. Whereas every year, 1.5 million Americans living with life-limited illnesses and their families received care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States, including Haven. Whereas Haven is an advocate and educator about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. Whereas the Centers for Medical and Medicaid Services have pledged to put patients first in all of its programs, including hospice, ensuring a coordinated and patient-led approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care needs and wishes. Done, ordered, adopted this day, 10th day of November 2020. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Yes, sir, I promise. Be no Mickey Mouse, I promise.
I'm trying to get Danny to actually come up and speak, but he won't. I just want to say thank you. You guys are let us come and do this every year. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support of the community for everything that you guys do for us and for Haven. So thank you very much.
I do have one thing to say. I'm a perfect witness to what Haven Palliative Service means to anyone. They have, in the last 5 weeks, they have performed wonders with my wife, who is on stage 6 of Alzheimer, and she's home. And they come in 3 times a week, and they do things I've been trying to do, and I have not been successful. So thanks to Todd McKinnon, whom I've recommended for Nurses Aide of the Month, for achieving what I've been working on for 3 months, and she did it in 2 weeks. Believe me, it is a worthwhile service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next resolution this morning will be read by Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you,
Would
Mr.
the,
Chairman.
members that are here from the other hospice, please come forward. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, fellow board members, Putnam County Proclamation Number 2020, National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November 2020. Whereas for 40 years, community hospice and palliative care has helped provide comfort and dignity to thousands of people in North Florida, allowing them to live their last months, weeks, or days comfortably with the people they love. Whereas community hospice and palliative care utilizes an interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality, symptom control, and comprehensive pain management as a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, community hospice and palliative care attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs, and provides family services like respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas community hospice and palliative care provides community-based palliative care which delivers expertise to improve quality of life and relief from pain and can be provided at any time during an illness. Whereas it is increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system. Hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrate how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patients. Whereas every year, 1.5 million Americans living with life-limiting illness and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States, including community hospice and palliative care. Whereas community hospice and palliative care is an advocate and educator about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. Whereas the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services have pledged to put patients first in all of its programs, including hospice, ensuring a coordinated and patient-led approach to care, protecting patients' choice and access to individualized services based on patients' unique care needs and wishes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim November 2020 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month and encourages citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, discuss their end-of-life wishes with their families, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Done, ordered, and adopted this 10th day of November 2020. Mr. Chairman, I move this proclamation forward.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously.
I'd like to take just a moment to thank y'all for honoring hospice and what we do. Been doing it a long time, and I would like to just say thank you for this every year that you guys do honor hospice and recognize the work that we do and the people that we serve. I can speak from my heart and say doing hospice, and Stacy is our team manager for this team, and I can't think of one person on the Putnam County team that is doing this because it's a job. It's a gift that's been given to them by God, and that's how they see it, and that's how they go about their day every day is, who can I serve today, and whose life can I make a little better? It's the families and the patients in this community that we serve, and it's community hospice serving the community, and that's our whole goal every year, is to make people's lives a little better in a time of turmoil. And I'd just like to thank y'all for recognizing the need in the county and honoring us with this today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make a comment, I just want to, until you have to use hospice, sometimes you just don't understand how great of an organization they are. So I want to thank both hospice organizations for what you do in Putnam County and surrounding areas. And I'd also like to recognize Bertie Allender. Bertie and I went to school together, and Bertie is actually Miss Bonnie Allender, daughter-in-law. She's married to Bonnie's oldest son, Danny, and as you remember, Miss Bonnie was a commissioner for at least 2 terms. It might have been 3, so I just want to recognize Bertie. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments, Commissioner Pickens. Next, we're going to ask Commissioner Goddard if he would read the Veterans Day Proclamation.
I will. Okay, Putnam County Proclamation number 2020, declaring November 11th, 2020 as Veterans Day. Whereas throughout U.S. history, Americans have kept a special, well-deserved place of honor in their hearts for our nation's veterans, and whereas for more than 70 years we have set aside each November 11th to recognize the men and women who have so valiantly served our country, first known as Armistice Day in 1947 and changed to Veterans Day in 1954. And whereas on this day we pause to remember and pay tribute to these veterans whose courage and sacrifice have secured our freedom, and whereas in Putnam County we have over 10,000 veterans who have answered our call to duty. And whereas each Veterans Day, our community celebrates and honors our veterans and invites all Americans to display their American flag and honor and pay tribute safely to our Americans who gave of themselves to keep us free. Now therefore be it proclaimed through the authority vested in me by the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, I do hereby proclaim November 11th as Veterans Day in Putnam County, Florida. Done and ordered and adopted this 10th day of November, 2020, Board of County Commissioners, Putnam County, Florida. I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Keith, my apologies for not calling you up before we read this proclamation. Would you and Sherry please come up? Yes, sir. Now, do you want this presented to you today, or would you like it presented to the American Legion tomorrow when we read it at the American Legion?
Sir, I'll take it today and I'll make sure it's there
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's fine. If you'll give me just a minute, I'm gonna get the clerk to sign it with me.
Okay, sir? All right, thanks, sir.
Smile, cheese.
If it's possible, can I have a few words?
Yes,
to say
sir,
real
I
quick,
was
please?
expecting it.
All right, thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I just want to take a quick moment to introduce myself. I am the Senior Military Service Officer here in Putnam County. I've been doing the veteran service business for around 19 years now. I've worked in Duval County, Alachua County, Clay County, St. Johns County. I've spread my tentacles quite far. I've been able to work with the homeless veterans, the incarcerated veterans, and providing services to veterans for pensions and claims. Fortunately enough, I did score high enough on the entrance test to have been able to join the Army. And so did
The Army.
Cherie. And Cherie, too, also has 20 years of experience in this. She too scored high enough to be in the Army, and then she got kind of weird and she went back in the Navy. So it's kind of weird. All right? But her and I both have been doing this for about 20 years. Cherie and I have actually worked together for a couple of years. So for those of you that may or may not have known us, I think if I could make fun of Terry just a minute, Terry had called Cherie the day she started and said, "How you fitting in?" She goes, "Well, I have my first appointment tomorrow." And that was her second day on the job. So that's how we hit the ground running. And I would like to accept this on behalf of all the veterans in Putnam County. We number around 10,000. That's a large group and a large population to do that. I also want to mention that we have an office here in Putnam County that's Monday through Friday, but we also have 2 satellite offices, one in Interlochen. Unfortunately, the one in Interlochen, the hours have only been about 2 or 3 hours a week. We've expanded that to an entire day, which it really needed to do. Just our second day out there, I was seeing she was seeing 3, 4, and 5 people a day coming to Interlochen. Crescent City is the same way. There was just a couple hours out there our previous folks were doing. We've opened that up the entire day, and I'd like to tell Bill, Marlene says hi, okay? High school chums, I guess. And we've also done it out there where we see 4 or 5 folks a day at the Crescent City office. So we're seeing a lot of folks. In the last month alone, we actually seen 80 to 85 veterans in our offices for a month. And of that, we submitted about 70 compensation claims. Right now, because of the COVID, kind of slowed down a lot to our office. Right now, the money that we're bringing back into the veterans community is just over $500,000. Normally, that office churns out around $1.5 million. We actually hope, for those of you that may not know, Cherie and I, last year, we were in Alachua County working together, and we brought in $4 million for Alachua County. So we absolutely would like to do that here. One reason we're going to be able to do that is you folks last month approved a digital-to-digital system for us. Folks, that moved us so much forward. A claim with VA may take from start to finish 5 or 6 months. Being able to digitally do this, to become complete paperless, has allowed that to be narrowed down to around 3 months, okay? And we've gotten several calls from veterans going, hey, when I did this before, it took months. It takes weeks now to do some of these claims, and it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you folks very much for that. A lot of folks think that we only do compensation for veterans for their service-connected disabilities. I want to make sure that everyone understands that we also do burial benefits. We also do pensions for widow or widowers of military veterans who may have financial needs and those type of things. It's quite an array of things that we can possibly provide to a veteran and or their spouses and family members. We are going to be celebrating the Veterans Day tomorrow. This is a little plug here for the American Legion Post 45. A lot of, with COVID, we've had to make sure that we've kind of do some of the CDC laws. But we are having a get together tomorrow at Post 45, starting at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Everyone is pleased. You're welcome to join. It's at no cost, plenty of parking, and me and Cherie are the reigning cornhole champions. So bring your partner out there, and we'll see where you stand. Okay. And then other than that, folks, we are absolutely fantastic to be here. This is only about my 3rd month on the job. This is Cherie's still 1st month on the job. So we're doing really, really well. And I want you folks to know you have no idea how much we appreciate the support that everyone on this board has given us in the veteran community. It is indeed a breath of fresh air to be able to come in, make a recommendation, have it move forward, have it acted on very quickly, and speaking on behalf of the veterans who come in, and I'm sure maybe some of you have heard back from your veterans too, we hear back from them too. They are just absolutely ecstatic about what we do here now. So on behalf of them, I'd like to say thank each and every one of you for what you've done for us so far. Is there any questions you may have of me?
Keith,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say, if I may, that I appreciate your service to the veterans in the county, you and Cherie. I'm glad that you came to us and you hit the ground running. I'd just like to say thank you for that.
Sure. Yes, sir.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to make a presentation to you.
Yes, sir.
While he's walking up, if you don't mind, I just want to thank you for what you're doing in bringing veterans to the front. You know, they represent 13, 14% of our total county, which is a large number. And with the
Great. Thank you, sir.
with the issues that veterans are facing right now, especially with PTSD, substance abuse, we seem to have a large share of it here in Putnam County, and hope you guys are able to get with Judge McGill. He's trying to get a veterans court established over here. It'd be great if you guys could push us in the right direction to help get that funded, because we really need that in Putnam County for
Right.
our veterans. So,
Can do that. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
By the way, today's the birthday of the Marine Corps. Today's the birthday of the Marine Corps.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Nobody mentioned that, buddy.
What birthday?
Who's
The Marines.
Birthday is it?
the
the Marine's
Marine's
birthday.
Oh, yeah, I've been on Facebook on it.
At the hoorah?
Okay, thank you for that. The next item on the list, item D, we're going to pull and send it to workshop. But Sam Carr's with us today, and we're going to ask him to make a short presentation to us, and then we're going to try to send it to workshop when Craig can be there to give us his slideshow.
Correct.
Morning, Sam.
Thank you, Terry. Commissioners, I'm happy to be here representing the Waterways and Trails Committee that operates here. And the idea of being here today is just to kind of give you all an overview of what we're doing. And you're right, we need to spend a lot of time in the workshop getting some stuff done. So the Waterways and Trails Committee was actually formed years and years ago, and first connected with me under Nancy Harris and Ed Taylor were the commissioners that were running that program. And then in 2008, we formed to the Waterways and Trails Committee, which brought in the efforts that were being made on the trails here. So, and it's led by Commissioner Jeff Rawls, and he has been an excellent representative for us, and we really appreciate all that he's done for this committee. So to give you an idea of how this committee is structured, it's actually attached also to two other groups. One is Putnam Blueways and Trails, CSO, which is the CSO for all of the trails in Putnam County. And so that's a group of about 100 folks, and we use the trails really well. It's also connected to the Bartram Trail Society of Florida, and actually this committee formed the first Bartram Trail Committee that actually established the Bartram Trail National Recreation Trail here in town. So that's a really great accomplishment of this committee, and that's how that was done. So talking about trails, Putnam County has about 30 miles of trails of paved, what we call shared use non-motorized trails currently. There's over 100 miles of paddling trails. There's over 75 miles of hiking trails, and horseback riding was about 40 miles of equestrian trails in Putnam County. So that's kind of what the committee is overseeing. And we also have the Florida National Scenic Trail, the Bartram Trail in Putnam County mentioned, the Donald Ross Golf Trail, Palatka Murals Trail, Florida Heritage Trails, and so forth. There's a whole lot of stuff that we kind of represent as far under the trails end of it. So that's what we do. As far as what's actually happening now on the trails end of it, there's an extension from Hawthorne to Interlochen, 16 miles, that is under construction right now that we're overseeing, or that we're watching. The Palatka Gap, which is from water management into town, 2.5 miles. The application has been ranked high for design and construction on that, so that's moving forward, which will be great to get that connection made. The St. Johns River to Sea Loop is what's going on in East Palatka and San Mateo, and that's under construction. I rode it myself the other day, and you've got about 5 miles of new trails out there, which is really great, and it's being used. The Springside Connector out near Barden, that goes from Barden all the way into Palatka to the St. John's, to the college. That is under design by Public Works. And the Springside Trail crossing there at State Road 100, the DOT has procured the land and is actually reviewing what kind of crossing that we can do there. So all of that's been done. So on the trail side of it, a lot of our interrelation from the committee was with DOT, because they're the ones that are building the trails and so forth. Okay, we're getting quite a bit of trail use. Metered data says that there are about 3,400 trips a month here in Putnam County on trails and all. And I don't know if you've been out on the bridge on weekends, but there's a whole lot of spandex coming over that bridge from St. Augustine these days. It's really amazing. I had a really great experience of a couple that was riding over it as I was, and it was their first time, and they had left, Highway I-95 and driven all the way to Palatka, wanted to go eat lunch at Angels and ride home. So that's really great. We have events, the Bartram Frolic, Life Half Marathon, and so forth is going on. Maintenance is also a part that we have talked to the commissioners about, and we will continue to doing that. So when it comes to waterways, is the part that I kind of represent on the committee. And so the Bartram Trail National Recreation Trail again came out of this committee. The Florida Trail Town designation and the Florida Paddling Community designations came out of this committee, and we'll be putting signs up downtown Palatka here very soon. The Putnam Blueways designation came out of this committee. The procurement of Hines Biggs Park in Georgetown was actually worked through this committee and so forth. And the committee also assisted in FERDAP grants for Tangawala Nature Park and Flora Home Trailhead. So, we've been involved with stuff that has benefited Putnam County. So where do we go from here? One of the things that is just coming up now, this committee will be the vetting committee, I guess you could say, to a new effort that's going on between us and Marion County called the Great Florida Riverway Project. And that is, from our standpoint, is to bring more recreational assets to Putnam County, and all using the Rodman area and the Ocklawaha River and the St. Johns River and develop recreational assets there. So that is going on. Some of you in the room have already gotten a picture of that, and we really appreciate all the participation that Putnam County focus group already has met, and it was a great meeting. And so this committee will take that on. okay? So that's going to be great. The Bartram Trail Society of Florida, again, was birthed out of this committee, and it's working now. So when the committee formed into a committee beyond Putnam County, so right now we've got Duval County doing exactly what we did up there. They're going to be having a Bartram Trail through Duval County. St. Johns County is now signed on board, and we're going to be doing a Bartram Trail in St. Johns County, patterned after what we did here. Volusia County has already done theirs, and so they're a part of the Bartram Trail as well. And tomorrow or Thursday, I'll be going to Nassau County to get their involvement with the same effort. So we're reaching out, and our efforts are now becoming greater. The Putnam County Recreational Assets is being assessed by SCORP, and we're involved with that. And the 2020 status of the St. Johns River Report was viewed by the committee, and I'll be giving a report to that during the thing. We're also involved with the Buzzard Island restoration thing. So, hopefully, I got through all that. I just wanted to give you an overview of what the committee's about and what we're doing and all that. And as we get where we need to spend some time with y'all and get some decisions made and some help from it, we will. So if you'll excuse me, I've got to run because I am hosting the end of what the Bartram Trail Society has and the Putnam County School District created. It's called the Frolic on the St. Johns. We were not able to do our festival in September, so instead we went virtual. And so the Putnam County School District came to us and said, we can do this. And I want to tell you, the technology and the people that they had doing this was just awesome. So we had, it was organized by the St. Johns Riverkeeper Educational Director and St. Johns River Water Management, their educational person. And we also had FWC involved, we had Waterworks involved, we had the River Center involved, and all of those people were involved with it. The Palatka, Putnam County School District had the technology, and they're the ones that told us what to do. And so we had Billy Bartram, the Long Warrior, Job Wiggins, and even Fort Moses, Fernando Menendez, treated the kids with historic and cultural and scientific information in videos and live performances. And when we did the live performances, it's absolutely amazing. The kids were absolutely interactive. We were able to see them on the screen and all of that kind of stuff. And these are second graders. And the questions they had were really amazing. My favorite was a little girl. She was blonde hair, blue eyes, and she came up to the screen, and Job Wiggins, the trader, had been giving his presentation. And so the girl lifts her mask down, and so I'm going, well, what kind of question would she have for a trader, or a trapper and all? And her question was, how do you skin a deer? I thought it was, so we're teaching them all kind of good stuff and all. And the other questions were, how do you make beads? And how much does a gopher tortoise weigh? And how much water is on the earth? So it was really, really interesting. It was great. And so we're going to do a little celebration today. Thank everybody for doing that.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Mr.
This
Rawls,
was
did
all
you
paid
have-
for by your COVID money. The COVID grant went directly to providing this. So we thank you for that too. Okay?
Sam, I'd just
Mr.
like to
Rawls.
say, I'd like to thank you for your service. And you and I have spoken recently a lot about the committee and the members and one of the things that we need as a committee from the commission is to get the committee fully staffed again.
Yeah.
So if we could at some point have a conversation about getting folks back to the table. This committee, everybody on it works, and it would be a gross statement to say that you and Craig do a lion's share of the work, obviously, but everybody on the committee works hard, very diligently, and they provide a huge source of ecotourism for our community and entertainment and recreation for our citizens.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Any other
Sam.
questions? See y'all.
Okay, before we move into public comment, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. move into public comment. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as a part of this agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the public comment to the deputy clerk, who sits to the right of over here. So with that being said, our first card belongs to Mr. Mike Perry.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mike Perry. I live in East Palatka, Putnam County, USA. I have a couple of things for you this morning, gentlemen, but I would be remiss if I did not mention the historical significance of this day. It is the 245th birthday of the finest, most elite, legendary fighting force in the history of the world, and I can only be referencing the United States Marine Corps.
You got it.
In my capacity as the Executive Director of Lift Putnam, Putnam County's Education Foundation, allow me to thank the Board for making the CARES grant available to nonprofits like ours. A special thanks to Commissioner Rawls for making sure that a significant amount of money was available so that we could make a significant impact in our community. I'd also like to thank Ms. Julianne Young for helping to give so many organizations a helping hand through the grant process. I can assure you, Commissioners, that every penny of the grant money will be spent in Putnam County, and it will be used to benefit the children in our community. The other thing I'd like to mention, gentlemen, is that the acrimony and derision that has resulted from the decision to remove the Confederate statue from the courthouse square brings to my mind the words, "All that is required for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing." I have always thought that this commission was comprised of good men, and now I am certain that I was right. I support your decision. I believe it to be fair and just, and I thank you for having the courage to make it. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day and a happy Veterans Day to all our veterans.
Thank you, Mike. Next card is Douglas Hayes.
I'm Douglas Hayes, live at 216 Huron Avenue, Satsuma. First, I would like to point out that the Waterways and Trails Committee and all the citizens involved, that is outstanding. It's the one example of citizen participation in the care of our county. Our trails are a marketing item for tourism, and we really need to harness and nurture that. Now on to a concern. With the statute becoming an issue, and if we believe that ethics is an important guideline, with the letters that you had received indicating that it was a good idea to move the statue, and the Common Ground group that inspired that ethically you may have to recuse yourselves from the vote. Mr. Harvey and Mr. Pickens and Mr. Turner, you received campaign donations from the leading people of the Common Ground of $1,000 apiece. So that may be a ethics violation because you're making decisions on the behalf of people that gave you money for your campaign. In fact, Mr. Turner, they were so concerned about that they double dipped and paid you $2,000. So you may want to look into that. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today, Douglas. It's always a pleasure. Is there anybody else that would like to have public comment this morning? Okay, we'll close the public comment portion and move to the consent agenda. And we'll start with Commissioner Rawls.
I have none. Excuse me, I have none.
Commissioner Goddard.
Well, I would like to pull K just as a discussion, I think.
K, okay. Commissioner Pickens,
J.
Commissioner Harvey,
I have none. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries. Okay, so, Commissioner Goddard, you had K, did you say?
Right, I was thinking J went before, but yes, I did have K. It was just a,
On the addendum?
yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
Which is something we've been looking for, oh, good gosh, for a year. So I was just glad to see this up here. Everything to me looked good. I didn't know if we wanted to discuss this before we approved it. I'm just glad to see it.
Yes, sir,
I think we all.
I think we all are very happy. This item is about the Etna Bridge, and we've been trying to get it out of the ground for a while now, and it's close. In fact, after this, it'll be real close to being able to get started, so, glad you pulled it for informational purposes, Commissioner Goddard, and if you would at this point, offer a motion.
I will make a motion that we accept consent agenda 6 for the Etna Bridge.
Second?
Item K.
Item K.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. Commissioner Pickens, item J.
Yeah, on item J, I just have a question is, after talking to Finance and Administrator Suggs, is looking at this, if these monies are coming back and we're giving them back to the Sheriff's Department, with this total, isn't this over a few $100,000 over what the original ask for the budget was? Is that correct?
Well, if I may, I went over the numbers with Ms. Young, best I could, and we, the original request, this seems to me like it's $337,000 over the original request. We gave them $700 in the original budget. We gave them $748 in CARES money. We agreed that we'd give them back $569,000 to cover the purchases of the automobiles, and that leaves $337,000 more than their original budget request, even when you take the 330, even when you take the money that we gave back for the vehicles that was ordered, there's still 337,000, and I'm talking in general numbers. So anyhow, I think that's what you were talking about, Commissioner Pickens?
Exactly. So I was just wondering, and I understand that a lot of your budget is capital improvements, so we probably would not see those reoccurring next year. Is that correct? Okay, yeah, please.
So as you'll recall, whenever we were in our initial budget discussions, the CARES money wasn't even considered at that time. So essentially what's happened is the total number of vehicles that we have on order at this time totals $569,000 and some change. But that only tells a portion of the story. What it doesn't account for is vehicles that were ordered and were canceled late in the year because of COVID, and vehicles that we anticipated ordering later in the year because the manufacturers actually closed that opportunity because their manufacturing plants were shuttered. So that actually brings our total vehicle needs in 2021 to be somewhere around $1.4 million. I'm sorry, that's a rough estimate. But with the $569,000 brings our total vehicle needs for the 2021 fiscal year to about $1.9 million,
Right, almost $2 million.
Yes. In addition to that, there was also a significant portion, actually the bulk of our ammunition order that was canceled and never received last year. And that was due to COVID, of course. And in addition to that, there was also some need for us to update our criminal justice information system software so that we were compliant with requirements that were placed on us by the FDLE and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which accounts for a significant portion of that $337,000 or $334,000.
Of that extra?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So what you're saying is the 337 you feel like is covering other items that were budgeted last year that didn't get spent, and that's why you were able to give it back. And so you're needing to roll the 337 into next year to cover those items that you couldn't get last year. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. That good for you, Commissioner Pickens?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve item J.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item J. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Gary.
the explanation. With that, we're going to move into item 7 on the agenda, which is our code enforcement. And it starts on page 133 of your packet. Morning, Thomas. How are you, sir?
Morning. Morning, everyone. I'm doing good, sir.
Your sidekick's not gonna stand up there with you today. He's just gonna throw you to the wolves by yourself.
Yes, sir.
I think he's capable.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Go ahead when you're ready, sir.
All right, the first case is 2016-514-104 Tangerine Trail. The violation was the salvage yard and care premises. The original fine amount was $28,168.50. Total cost of enforcement action was $2,073. Mr. Simon recently purchased the property and has brought the property in compliance. He is now requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Is there any questions? Okay, is there anybody here today that wishes to speak on this case? Seeing none, the chair will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we stay consistent with what we've done with the other case in the past, reduce the administrative monthly cost by $470, which would leave a balance of $1,603 to be paid within 90 days.
Do we have a motion of to reduce the fine to $1,603? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries. Next case, Mr. Moore.
Case number is 2016-83. Address is 749 San Mateo Road. And the violation was unsafe dwelling, care premises, and maintenance. The original fine amount was $22,118.50. Total cost of enforcement actions, $1,889. Property owner purchased the property, has brought the property into compliance. He is now requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the fine to be paid within 90 days.
Okay, before we move forward with questions on the last case, that with the motion included 90 days, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so good. Okay, so back to this case. Is there anybody here, is there any questions on this case? Okay, is there anybody here that would like to speak on this case? Why it's gonna happen anyhow? Come on, Ken. Good morning, by the way.
It is a good morning. Ken Swing, 126 Elderberry Lane, Palatka. The only problem I have with it, he said it was an unsafe structure. When I bought the property, we actually bought it through the court system because the judge wanted to get the probate done. These people had passed away and the place had sat vacant for 3 or 4 years. An unsafe structure, they were thinking about tearing it down. But I went down with the inspector. There was nothing to be done that needed a permit. He called it in while we were right there at the property. The only thing we did was haul the trash away on the outside. So I think even though you're reducing it, it seems to be quite excessive. I don't know how you can have so many letters to dead people. They're not going to answer the first one, second one, or third one, all the way to number 16.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you feel like dropping it from $22,000 down to $1,329 ain't fair?
Well, I think the $22,000 for dead people seemed to be a little excessive too.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna debate you on this, Ken, I really.
So you want to reduce it to 1,300?
Well, I'm telling you right now that what we've done in the past, if we remain consistent, that's what it would be reduced to, if I got my numbers correctly, $1,329 to be paid within 90 days.
1,300 and how many?
29.
I'm gonna have to take collection
I know,
up.
you're gonna have to go get a night job, Ken.
Thank you, sir. It's acceptable.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval that we reduce the fine to $1,329 to be paid in 90 days.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Ken, hopefully I didn't just offend you. I was trying to be smart aleck about it. Good deal. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. The next item, Mr. Moore.
Case numbers 2015-411, address 232 Kite Road. The violation was an unsafe home. The original fine amount was $16,094.96. Total cost of enforcement action was $2,171. Property owner recently purchased a property. We received the funds from a tax deed sale overpayment in the amount of $17,342.04, which left a balance of fines totaling $16,094.96. The property is now compliant and the owner's requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
I have a question on this one, Thomas. Who did the person that owns it now buy it from? It said it was recently purchased. Who was it recently purchased?
It was a tax deed sale.
They bought it on a tax deed sale?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and we received the additional money from the tax deed purchase?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the money came from the person who was applying for the reduction?
Yes, sir.
So basically, the guy paid $17,342 more than what the tax deed, what he had to, because that additional money came back to the county, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so,
It was the surplus over the sale.
okay, so basically, we're asking the applicant now to pay an additional, if it's done like normal, additional $1,541 after he's already paid $17,342.
That is correct, because it didn't pay off the fines.
I understand that, but he
Had
paid
to.
$17,000 to the county, not knowing the fine was there or whatever reason you want to give it, but the $17,000 came back to the county.
Yes, sir.
So, in my opinion, and this is just this commissioner, I think that this person has already paid enough towards the fines on this particular case when he paid $17,000. And so, you know, I want to stay consistent with all these cases, but in this particular case, the applicant actually paid the county $17,342, and I don't think that they ought to have to pay any more than what they've already paid up and above that came back to the county, because if they'd have went in and bought this for $17,000 cheaper at the tax deed sale, then they would have come in, and chances are we would have reduced the fine to $1,541, consistent with everything else we've done. But so in this particular case, they paid $17,342 $342 more that came back to the county than what the tax deed was owed on the tax deed. Am I making sense to you here at all, guys?
Yeah, Chairman, we're not telling you what to do with the action. We're just presenting the case.
Right. No.
It's up to the board. If you want to wipe all fees, that's.
No, I was just asking, was I correct in my assumptions here?
Yeah, we understand your position.
Yeah, okay.
We have no input on that.
Yeah,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Rawls, yes, Commissioner Rawls next, and then Tim, okay?
I'm sorry, I think this is the first time this has come before the board since
First
I've been
time I've
here.
ever seen it, yeah.
So, I would be in favor of creating a policy that allows the use of excess funds to pay down the fines before we realize the excess. I think that really is the right thing to do.
Well, and in this case, that's what they've done. They actually took the money.
They overpaid.
They took $17,342 of the money that they overpaid, that was, the tax deed had so much owed on it. When they pay the extra and that money, and there's no one to pay that money to, then that money goes back to the county.
Right.
And so they use that $17,000 to reduce the fines. But if they'd have paid $17,000 less for the tax deed when they bought it, then,
They'd be paying $1,500.
Right.
and it would have gone, yeah, but then the fine would have stayed up around $30,000, give or take,
But we're saying the same
$30-something
thing.
thousand.
What I'm
So
saying
we've already took the 17 off, and that's my whole point here. If they'd have come to us to start, they've already paid 17.3, we would have reduced it to $1,541, they already paid 17,000.
But what I'm saying is basically run through the math like we do in all the other ones, and then apply the excess. So we would realize, in this case, rounding numbers, $15,000 excess, and we would have captured back our hard costs.
I see what
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mr. Clerk?
Soon to be passed.
He's already forgetting me.
No, he's not.
Never happened, pal.
Thank you. So, I'm not suggesting what your ultimate outcome of your vote is, but this is a open auction, and the lien amount that the county had was in the picture when the bidding was done, okay? So obviously, this property was worth more than what just the taxes owed on it, or you wouldn't have a bid go up that high. So I'm not questioning that you don't amend this some way, but I think it's important that the public know that this is an open auction. People bid on things based on their desire to own the property and what they think the value is. So I don't want us to get into a spot that, because this had an overbid, that it doesn't still enforce the value of the liens that the county has against these properties when they go to sale, because that is how you recoup those lien dollars. And so I understand the thought and the philosophy that you're looking at, but it's important to know that this is a fair and open bid process, that the amount gets bid up, and someone quits bidding when they think they've reached their limit to what they think the property's worth and want to have. So I just want to share that with how this works. It's different than a foreclosure sale. They work a little different, but the tax deed sale is just, you just bid up to when nobody else is bidding, and that's the amount. The overbid pays off debts that are attached to that, and fortunately, there was some to compensate the county back for their dollars.
Okay, well, Tim, was the information available? I know it would have been if they did a full title search, but was the information available at the time of auction that this lien was on that piece of property?
Generally, I won't say that I know this case 100%, but generally, the title search identifies all the liens.
Okay, so you do a title search before you bring it to tax deed, and so or your sale?
Yes, I don't do the title search. The title search is done when the applicant asks for a tax deed process to start. Part of their application fees pays for a title search, which is handled by the tax collector's office. Once all those are put together, then that whole packet comes to us for the court action to actually resolve the problem.
So then what you're saying is chances are the person who purchased this tax deed knew that this lien was on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Should know that, yes.
Well, in that case, it kind of changes everything right back around to where it was when we started then. Even though they've overpaid, they knew it was overpaid and evidently the value was there. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following Commissioner Rawls's line of thinking, I've done the math twice. It looks like if you back all those numbers out, the bottom line is $923.96. That basically still exist on a fine, okay? So I think that, following Mr. Smith's advice, or what I'm hearing, he didn't really advise us, but what I'm hearing, there's still, the value of the property was X amount, they paid that amount, they paid a little bit more, and there's still a lien. So I think we would be fine with $923.96, which would make us even at that point. Is everybody following me on that?
No, but I'm good, $923.
Where you coming with the numbers?
What I did is I took the 17,342, backed out the 2171, which left 15,171. If you take it, the 16,094.96 minus the 15,170 gives you 923.96. And you can do it the other way too. 17,342 minus 16,000 gives you 1248 minus the 20. If you take the 2171 minus 1248, it still gets you to 923.96 either way.
Well, and there's another way to look at it too, after listening to Mr. Smith, is that if they were aware that this lien was on the property to start with, then they were aware that they were going to have to deal with it in some form or fashion. And so I don't know if, I understand when they paid 17.3 more, but if they paid 17.3 more but knew that there was a lien already on the property, that changes my position from where it was when I started this conversation, in the fact that I don't know I don't know that these circumstances change the fact of how we handle these consistently. And so if we're going to continue handling them consistently, then we take off the administrative monthly fee from the cost, and it would be $1,541 if we stay consistent with what we've been doing in the past. And knowing now that Mr. Smith has said what he said about, they knew this up front, I think we need to just stay consistent. Commissioner Rawls?
I think maintaining consistency, the original fine, we've stated it multiple times that our goal is not to make money on this, it's to get the properties cleaned up, get them in more competent or eligible hands. And so if you take the $1,500 fine reduction and then you apply that to the $17,000, we're still to the good. If things had gone differently, they would be requesting us to reduce it, and we'd reduce it to $1,500. I personally think that they've already paid that through the excess, and we would be encouraging more of this in the future, and not saying, I'm not saying we're stubbing our nose at them, saying, well, we still want to ding you for another $1,500 or $1,000, whatever the outcome is. But I just think it meets our goals, which is to get the properties under control and cleaned up and improve property values around them.
Commissioner Rawls, I'll be honest to say I can go either way on this one. I have no problem going either way on this one whatsoever.
I think
You
we
look
need
at
a
it from
policy
one
for
way,
it.
yeah, they overpaid 17,000, but you look at it from the other way, they knew about it. So I don't know, because if they knew about it, then I don't know that you can count it as that they overpaid, because there must be some value there, or they wouldn't have overpaid. Somebody else would have bought it at a lower price. So that's the reason I maybe just thought that perhaps we wanted to try to remain consistent, because even though they did overpay 17,000, over 17,000, they knew about it. And so it wasn't like a surprise, where sometimes this is a surprise, but
What I'm saying is, we have hard costs in it. We can cover those hard costs with the excess, and we still come out on top.
Well, I'm good, Jeff, make a motion.
I make a motion that we, say what?
Make a motion. I think somebody just coughed was all.
Okay, I make a motion that we utilize the excess money to cover the cost of the hard cost of the fine and reduce the total amount due from the owner to $0
Okay,
to be paid in 90 days.
$0, okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it. Either way.
Okay, so we're just gonna wipe this one out, because of the circumstances of it.
Or we would recoup the hard cost that it would come back in.
We're good, we're good. Is there we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I guess we have a 10 o'clock certain, it's after 10 o'clock for the Planning and Development Services public hearing on the simulated gambling business moratorium. I'm assuming this is the same one, we're just rolling it forward?
Yeah, it's a request to extend the existing moratorium 120 days so that staff can finalize a
That
draft.
long enough for you, Mike? Because
Yeah.
I know that we've been working on it
Yeah,
for a little
yeah,
while,
we've-
so.
Staff feels confident. We're at a place where we want to bring it to workshop to you guys next month, take it to the Planning Commission, and then bring it back for adoption.
Okay,
And
so
we believe
120 is enough, you don't need
Yeah, staff believes,
150 or something?
no,
Okay.
staff's comfortable with the 100.
Something happens, bring it back and we'll
Yeah.
talk again. Yes, Commissioner Harvey?
Mr. Brown, I know that, I mean, I appreciate this, and we got to keep this going, because we've had some that have just thumbed their nose at us
Yeah.
out in my district. Just kind of, I don't care, we're going to open, we're not going to open, we're going to open, we're going to do what we want, you know.
Codes is chasing them.
The question I have, and I'm sure more of this will be talked about at the workshop, but, you know, do we have to have a zoning for these anyway? I mean, do we have to provide a zoning for gambling? Because I just think it's detrimental to our community.
That's an option of the
Okay.
of the board to, I mean, I know other jurisdictions have banned them outright.
Okay.
I will tell you right, at this point, staff's coming with a recommendation,
I'll wait for
limiting
that
to where they can go, but, you know, it's
I'll wait for that
up to
recommendation.
the board.
And if it's gonna be a recommendation that they ban, I want Rich to take a look at it first, because I was told back when we started this moratorium business that we can't ban them altogether, that it's not constitutional or something. And so, if it turns out that y'all's recommendation is going to be to ban them or something like that continually into the future, then we need the legal to get involved with
Legal's
it
been
too, to make
involved.
sure whatever
Yeah,
recommendation you're bringing to us is legal.
Yes. Legal has been involved in this effort as we're drafting. I mean, I can tell you right now that we have a recommendation from staff will be to allow them in certain restricted locations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Chair.
Would you give us a motion for the,
Well, Mr. Chair,
yes?
so a couple things. One, I just want to make sure so that our record's clear. We're not actually just rolling it forward. We're extending based on a continued effort to work on the ordinance. And we're at a different point now than when the moratorium was extended last year. And I say that because we actually do have a draft ordinance that we're just, at this point, we're getting the final input from community stakeholders, and we actually have a tracked plan, as Mr. Brown said, for the different public hearings that are necessary to implement that ordinance. So that we're very clear, just based on some of the commission's comments, one, we do need to open this up for a public hearing and solicit any public comment, but two, also that gambling is illegal. So this is not allowing gambling, this is allowing internet cafes, which there's a distinction between games of skill and games of chance, and this is allowing that in certain zoning districts with certain requirements, again, as the input was provided by the community stakeholders. So just so we're clear, we're at a different point than we have been since the moratorium was initially put into place. And if you have questions offline, we can help answer those as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Another question. Will we discuss this in a workshop before the public hearing? Have we?
I think it is on
Yes.
workshop schedule, because it goes workshop, planning commission, and then 2 hearings before this board.
Once the final is drafted, correct?
Correct. And I think we're close. We're on to one last, it's going to go forward no matter what, because I think at this point, we need the board to make some final decisions based on your public comment that you'll solicit as we go through the process.
Okay, the chair will you done, sir?
I'm done, yeah.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion on item 8A.
Comment.
Okay. Is anybody here to speak for or against this particular item? Okay, none here. Oh. Well, you want to open up an internet cafe?
Yeah, that's his plan.
Certainly with the amount of money that they take in that's unaccounted for, I'd certainly love the opportunity to, but unfortunately it's illegal. And I agree with Mr. Commando's opinion that, you know, there is no provision that would allow the board to not regulate some type of an activity that is criminal in nature. But I can tell you unequivocally from our observations, there are no internet cafes that are operating in Putnam County as true internet cafes in the sense that Mr. Commando is referring to. These cafes are operating gambling machines that are paying out, not in accordance with Florida statute and the way that it's constructed. My position officially is that we are adamantly opposed to the board adopting an ordinance to regulate internet cafes, aka gambling establishments with slot machines in them. And although we have provided some input as to the wording in the ordinance, it is certainly not our desire that we go down this slippery slope.
Commissioner Rawls?
Mr. Commando, is it possible to put language in there that precludes certain types of machines?
That's already done in statute, as the sheriff said.
But you're saying we have it now?
Yes, there are, every single internet cafe is a gambling establishment, in my professional opinion.
So if we write an ordinance that's consistent with state statute and the sheriff's department sees that they're in violation, whose responsibility is it at that point to shut them down?
The way the ordinance is drafted, and I'm trying my best to make sure I answer your question correctly, it gives the sheriff more tools to actually enforce. So he'll have the opportunity to enforce through both state statute and through our county ordinance. So it gives him more tools to help keep our community safe, which public safety is really the #1 priority behind this sheriff and the community stakeholders' request for this type of ordinance.
Have you seen a draft of the?
I have, and I'll tell you from my position where I'm sitting, I think we're headed in a dangerous direction simply because nearly every county surrounding us has banned these internet cafes, and that's why they're all flocking to Putnam County. They attract crime, and they're a nuisance.
As long as they tell me it's legal to ban them.
I understand.
Commissioner Rawls, I got a text from the booth that asked, would you please speak into your microphone?
I'm sorry. Mr. Commando, are we allowed to ban like other counties have?
There's not a clear legal answer to that because there are still legal challenges that exist across the state, which the legal challenges on flat-out bans have started. They've been withdrawn. I anticipate they'll be filed again. So there's not a good legal answer as to whether or not a complete ban is enforceable. The conventional wisdom in most local government is that, similar to other types of undesired activity, and the one that is always referred to is the adult entertainment stores, they have certain constitutional protections to free speech, and because of that, they have to be allowed somewhere. So the county does have the ability to regulate where that somewhere is, and that's really the direction that we've been moving towards, is to try to limit the areas where it can present or pose a danger to children, citizens, obviously keep it away from religious organizations and things like that.
If it please the commission at this time, I'd like to try to go ahead and move the request today forward if we could, and then let them look into this additional information between now and when it comes to workshop to move forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner
I'd like to
Harvey.
make a motion to extend the moratorium on gambling or simulated gambling business for 120 days to allow adequate time to adopt ordinance regulating such business or not.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries. Next is item 9, the clerk of court.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any clerk items, but I would like to ask for an opportunity to make some comments as it relates to your workshop this afternoon, as I won't be able to be there. If you would indulge me in that for a few minutes.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, so as the issue with the Confederate monument, has been forefront in our community for the last 6 to 8 months or so. I've been silent on that because of my role as clerk of the court, and you're all familiar with the court logo that's got the Lady of Justice on it, which is, blindfolded lady holding the scale, and evidence tips one way or the other. And so I didn't think that it might be appropriate for me to make comments on that, because that is really the role that we hold as clerks of the court, the elected clerk and deputy clerks. We really don't take sides. We don't see any sides to things. We just provide service to help, and then the courts make decisions. But in this case, and I know that y'all are going to be making some decisions moving forward, as you already have, and a lot of my comments come after the results of the election last week, and so it's my view that particularly in your race, Mr. Chairman, the number of votes that you got indicated to me that this isn't really the huge burning issue that I thought it might be in the community, because it would have been, to me, indicated in the vote total. And so I think that what we really have is we have a smaller interest on both sides of the spectrum than what I really anticipated was out there, because I think sometimes social media tends to look things like they're more of a burning issue than what they really are. But we have two sides here, and one way or the other, one side is not going to be happy. And so I applaud all of you that had the discussion and took a stance to try to recognize that from the black community that there was some concern and some offense to the statue. I've seen that there is concern and offense to the pro-monument side too. And so I've been thinking about this over the last week, and it goes back to some of the comments that you made, Mr. Chairman, originally in this process, and where you talked about the possibility of erecting additional monument that would represent the black community. And so you had suggested Mr. Jenkins to be the statue, a black man that was killed in war, defending this country, received the Congressional Medal of Honor, just a rare occurrence anywhere in the United States. There's a very small number of Medal of Honor recipients. And so in thinking about the position that you have in the meeting this afternoon to identify a spot that the statue will be moved to, I would suggest that after you make your decision today and you rank the spots, that there be a second alternative to go back to the discussion table with both sides and suggest that where the Confederate monument is closer to St. John's Avenue, and there's a fairly long walkway up to the courthouse, that on the other side of that monument towards the courthouse, that a monument be erected to Mr. Jenkins, and then that space between those monuments become a teaching and learning spot, so that someone that could come up and say, well, this is where this issue started, a monument was erected to it, some folks have indicated that that was placed there for a reason to send a message. I don't know whether it was or wasn't. Fortunately, I wasn't there in the 30s. Sometimes I feel like I'm that old. But what a powerful statement that this could be is that we don't erase history. We recognize that it happened, and we place a monument to a black man between there and the courthouse, which says that that position that that statue has taken is not what this community is today. And so that spot between it, it could be named something like Unity Plaza or some other name, something like that. But in that space, then construct a timeline of events that have happened since the Civil War up to today. And so that we don't lose the opportunity to continue to educate future generations of what this was about. If we simply just move the statue without doing anything to recognize the reason that that was done, then we lose the historical value of this whole discussion that we've had. So from early civil rights, women voting, the civil rights issues in the 60s, all those could be part of a story. And then work with the school system to develop a curriculum that brings a certain school age class down there, like they do at the River Center, and they expose them to the river. They teach them all about it, and develop a curriculum so that we're teaching future generations what happened. And then this community could be an example of how you preserve your history. You understand the consequences it has today in this world, and this is what we've done to try to educate as we move forward. So that would be my suggestion. I've not spoken to Mr. Reynolds about this, your clerk-elect, because I didn't want to involve him in any of my comments today, because in the end of December, I will not be your clerk, and so I didn't want to bring any of these comments to the clerk's office, because that wouldn't be fair to all of them that still remain neutral and provide customer service. So I thank you for allowing me to make those comments today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We'll certainly take your recommendations into consideration this afternoon for sure at workshop. Next, we're going to move into appointments, and I'm going to allow Commissioner Rawls to go first, because it is deemed that Mr. Nelson, which is somebody who he put up as a member of the Affordable Housing Committee, has been deemed eligible. So I'm going to allow Commissioner Rawls to make that nomination.
I would like to nominate John Nelson to be appointed to the Affordable Housing Committee.
Okay, a nomination doesn't have to have a second, I believe. So at this point, if there's no other nominations for that committee, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Do you have any other appointments today, Commissioner Rawls?
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard, do you have any appointments today?
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey?
I have none, sir.
Okay, and I have none. So before we move on to item 11, which is the county administrator's comments, I'm going to take a point of order, and we're going to add something to the agenda today. I have a plaque today for Commissioner Goddard, and if Commissioner Goddard, if you'll join me right down there at the podium.
Pull the cords out. Is that what it was?
Being the Gator fan that you are. In special appreciation and recognition of Buddy Goddard for his dedication to the citizens of Putnam County, serving with honor and integrity as a member of the Board of County Commissioners for 4 years, 2016 to 2020, presented by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners this 10th day of November 2020.
As I'm generally quiet anyway. Of course, some people say I don't shut up, but all I can say is I have thoroughly enjoyed my time here. I've enjoyed the people I worked with. This means a lot to me, and I'm going to miss you guys. I'm going to miss being here. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished since I've been here. We've accomplished a lot. We've saved this county a lot of money. Mr. Suggs, I'd be remiss if I didn't say I really appreciate the things that you have done to help us create a better county. The staff has always been, as I've said before, anytime that I have called, they stop what they're doing and have taken care of anything that I've asked them, got back to me immediately. I couldn't ask for anything better. I'm just gonna miss you guys. I love you guys, and thank you very much.
Yeah, buddy, would you want to bring your plaque back down front and get all of us, get up here and get a picture with you, if you don't mind?
Commissioner Turner.
Closing comments.
Chairman Turner, can I interrupt? Can we revisit page 152 of the agenda for the CRA board appointment?
Yes, I will in a second.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words. Back in 2014, well, actually go back to 2012, Commissioner Goddard and I were running for separate offices. And we would role play, you know, speeches and things like that. I didn't need as much help as Commissioner Goddard did, but naturally it was, no, I'm kidding. But, you know, you think about your journey in life and you think about, you know, why did you run, you lost, what happened. And we both admit that we wouldn't be here today had we not done what we did in 2012. My path took a little different path than yours because I was appointed by the governor. Again, guys, I must say, if you've never been sitting in front of the governor with a 4-inch notebook on your life and they have a Sharpie pen and they're writing down comments, that's quite the job interview, I will tell you. But we all knew change needed to come to Putnam County. And we started that process, and then Commissioner Goddard got elected and came on board. And I remember the day he threw the softball out, and the hard ball, I was like, oh my Lord. But change started happening. And we all benefited from that change. You know, Commissioner Goddard is not the type A personality that I am. He doesn't jump up and down and rant and rave. He's kind of more the thinker and the calmness guy. And we all need that. And Commissioner Goddard, I just want to say that it has been an honor and a privilege to serve with you. Again, you're kind of the anchor that kind of holds me down sometimes and says, Larry, have you thought about this? And so I appreciate your comments when we sit in these rooms and we talk. Some people have accused you of being the quiet one. I don't think you're quiet at all. I think you're deliberate. And I think you choose your words carefully. And I just want to say, as you enter into your next journey, God be with you, and he'll help you. And I know there's a plan for your life, because there has been a plan for your life. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you coming in and helping me and helping this board get the progress done that we needed to get done. Thank you. I want you to have a gift. Now, this gift is because Buddy likes to drink coffee or water. So,
Yep. Yep, I do like my coffee. They say, he always says that I talk only when I drink coffee or I'm not drinking coffee.
Okay, good deal. The reason that I didn't cover page 152 is because a request was from the city for a term that begins January 1st of next year. And so I thought that it would be more applicable if we waited when the commission changed to appoint the next CRA person, you know, for next year, because we have plenty of time. So that's the reason I didn't bring it up. I'm going to request that go to the next agenda when the commission has changed. I'm assuming Commissioner Rawls would probably want to do it again next year too, CRA. Yeah, so I mean, but I think it would be more appropriate to do it with the new commission because of the time allowed at this point. So we're not going to talk, we're going to place page 152, which is the CRA discussion, on the next agenda instead of today's. And with that, County Administrator Terry Seggs, did you have any comments today, sir? You got 30 seconds.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I can handle that.
Brutal.
He is brutal, but that's okay. You know, the last time I spoke during public comment, it was about Matt Reynolds. And, you know, and again, you know, seeing Matt sitting at the other end of the dais is an absolute pleasure for all of us. We know what Matt brings to Putnam County with his dedication and his public service. But today I'd also like to go ahead and announce that Ms. Julianne Young will be sitting at the dais to my left as the new Deputy County Administrator. I sent an email out last week. I want to go ahead and welcome her into the into this realm of the Board of County Commissioners and what we do here. So Julianne, welcome. I'm sure you're going to do great things, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work closer with you, and I'm sure staff is as well. It would be remiss if I didn't mention that she has the full support of all of our executive directors that are currently here and the staff, so we're looking forward to great things out of that office, as Mr. Reynolds set the bar quite high. So in my closing comments this morning, take the opportunity to say a few words to Commissioner Goddard as well. It's been an absolute pleasure serving for you, sir, and working for you. You always bring insight to any conversation that we have, and I will certainly always remember that and miss that in our conversations. But as a going away tribute, we had Commissioner Goddard and his family over Saturday for the Florida game. Got a text message that we're running a little late. So as you all know, the first play of the game didn't go so well, 75-yard touchdown. And Julie my wife had already reminded me that I had to be on good behavior when Commissioner Goddard and Shondale got there. So I used up my few minutes of vetting after that first play just to realize that Commissioner Goddard and his family were standing outside my front door waiting to come in. And so with that auspicious start, I certainly began my meeting and visitation with Mr. Goddard and his family with a sincere apology for what they may or may not have heard.
I understand
And,
the feeling.
but we had understood, but we absolutely had a great visit, enjoyed your company, your family's company, and we look forward to doing it many, many times. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Administrator Suggs. Same thing happened to me the night that they were at my house, so I understand, yes. Colonel Commando, do you have anything for us today, sir?
No, sir, that's a tough act to follow, so.
Yeah, I hear that. And we're going to move into Commissioner comments and requests, and Commissioner Rawls, do you have anything for us today, sir?
Well, I mean, we've touched on Veterans Day tomorrow, and I think it's really important that we do recognize and remember our veterans for their service. We already acknowledge the fact that the Marine Corps turned 245 years old today, and I think Buddy's the only Marine serving on the commission, so that's something that's, my brother told me when I went in the Navy and he went in the Marine Corps, he said, one thing you'll never hear is once a Navy, always a Navy. But, you know, they say once a Marine, always a Marine. And so thank you for your service. And also thank you for your service to the county. And it really has been a pleasure. You know, we've had our up times and our down times. And I hope at the end of it, you know, I can still count on you, especially now that we can talk outside of business. I'd like to do that. So thank you very much for your service, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Commissioner Goddard, you don't get to go next. You're gonna have to go last today. Commissioner Pickens.
Thank you, Chairman Turner. Definitely would like to wish all veterans a happy Veterans Day, and thank you for what their sacrifices they did for this country. And we do have a lot of veterans in Putnam County, and I'm really excited. I've had a couple of conversations with Keith and has put him in touch with a couple of veterans that were seeking just for some information and maybe some assistance, and he reached out to them and was able to help both of them immediately. So I truly appreciate that. Julianne, congratulations on the new position. I know you'll do well. We do hate to lose Matt. And as I said last time, Matt, you have big shoes to fill, but you also have special shoes to fill with Mr. Tim Smith leaving. So being a Gator fan also, I think we probably all had the same reaction of the first 4 minutes of the game. And my wife is a graduate and a very, very serious Gator fan. And we had our new neighbors over to watch the game with us. And I told them, I said, I've never seen my wife actually throw something during a Gator game. I'm not saying that she hasn't thrown something, I just haven't seen her. So it ended up a good result, but it was a tough start. So Commissioner Goddard, I just want to say thank you for your service to this county. Buddy and I ran 4 years ago, and I didn't know Buddy or Shondale. But when you run and you're going to forums and different functions, you kind of get to know people. It's almost like a family. Even though you may be running against somebody, you get to know them. One thing I noticed pretty soon was that Buddy married way over his head, as I did also. But Shondale is just a special person, and you are too, Buddy. And I'll say I've actually supported Buddy's opponent last time. But Buddy won, and we learned together, and I learned to respect you. I learned from you, I really did. And I want to thank you again for stepping up to be vice chairman your second year. Be chairman the second year. So I was vice chairman in my second year because I didn't feel I was ready, and I want to thank you for that and the way you led. So we will miss you, but your mark will never leave this county, what you helped this commission and this staff accomplish in the 4 years we were here. And I thank you, and I wish you the best in your next endeavor. Thank you. Oh, I actually have something that will go with your cups that Commissioner Harvey gave you.
Too much.
Coffee. The story behind that coffee that Administrator Suggs can tell you about. I can't tell you the whole story, but there's a story about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Harvey, you want to go next?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to wish our veterans a happy Veterans Day tomorrow. There is one item that I need to bring up, if you don't mind. The community of Melrose is seeking a letter of support to do a Christmas parade on December 19th. It's going to be a nighttime parade. They need just a letter of our support before they can finish their application to DOT. And then when DOT blesses it, it'll come back before the board for the chairman's signature at that point. I know the Sheriff's Department has signed on, and I know our Public Safety Director, J.R. Grimes, have been in touch with them. But if it would be okay today, we do need to at least give a letter of support. Sarah has all the information on the group that's doing it, but they contacted me about doing that today. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll just let that be with you.
I'm good if you want to make a motion that we support that parade.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the board supports the Melrose Christmas Parade on December 19th, a letter of support, and be ready for the chairman's signature once it gets back from FDOT.
I'll second
We have
that.
a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I also want to say to Julianne, thank you for stepping up and being part of that position. You do have big shoes to fill and long pants to fill. He's a lot taller than you are, but you'll do fine in that position, and I feel very confident. And one last comment about Commissioner Goddard. You know, we all want to leave this world better than what we found it, and I believe you can walk out with your head held high, that you've left Putnam County better than you found it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Harvey. I'd like to also take a moment and just say how much I appreciate the veterans in the county and how much I'd like to congratulate them for their service to the county. And I also want to join in welcoming Miss Young to our team. She's always been on our team, but higher up the team. How's that? I think it's I'm very proud of her, and I think she'll do well for the county. I really do. You know, I don't know really what to say about Commissioner Goddard. I've known him for many years, but I just got to know him in the last 3 years. So, been a good friend, and like Commissioner Harvey said, you did a great job. You did a great job, and you can walk out of here with your head held high. So, and for the last speaker, I'm going to let Commissioner Goddard speak.
Well, I was going to try to quietly have my last meeting here without being emotional. All I can say is I'm going to definitely miss this. I did enjoy being a part of the change that I know that we did. And I really enjoyed working for the people. I really enjoy this job. It's been a great job, and I have it's got its ups and downs, but I relish those. I really did. When we had a bad spot there and we accomplished it and we made most of the people happy, I was proud of what we got done. And all I can say is I think our county is better for what we have done. And I think we're just going to continue moving. It's just good to see the changes. Mr. Tim stepping down and going to enjoy his life. And Matt getting ready to have a new adventure. You just thought having the kids was an adventure. This is going to be a good adventure. All I can say is thank you, everyone, for the kindness. I'm stumped up here. Like I said, I thought this would I would quietly walk away from here. But thank you just so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure serving with you, Commissioner. Good deal. Is there anything else to come before the commission today? Seeing none, this meeting is hereby adjourned.